Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in the studio today. If you are just joining me for the very first time, welcome. I hope if you enjoy this video that you will give me a thumbs up and click on subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos. Today's video is going to be introducing you to my newest paper pack. Just uploaded onto my Etsy shop. And I'm also going to cover that in the first part, and then I'm going to move into printer and printer settings. The reason I'm going to do that is this kind of took me a few weeks to get going because I ended up buying a new printer. And if you've ever faced doing that, you do a lot of research and it's not always easy to find reviews that are people using the same computer that you use, the same exact model of printer that you're looking at, and doing the same thing with it that you're doing. So because this is kind of a specific thing, I wanted to share that and my experience because I had a hard time over the last couple of weeks getting some things figured out and just finding resources out there that could help me with what I was doing. So I'm going to do some comparisons today, and not only with this paper pack because this one's very brightly colored, so it has its certain things, but the paper pack that I introduced a couple of days ago is much more neutrals. And so I wanted to even show you some things that I've learned with this one because it's a little different, it's a lot different. So this paper pack wasn't planned, and so it took me a little bit to get it together, but I'm really excited. I love how it turned out, and so I'm hoping that you will too. It started out probably a month or so ago. I had started doing some cute little journals out of recycled materials. I was in Studio B, and that's my second studio that has not a lot of supplies. So I have been trying to just use trash and junk and stuff like that when I'm there. So it kind of came about with that. I was making things with, my scraps of hand-painted paper and using them for collage. And then I was having so much fun doing them, and they were so cute, and I wanted to do a demonstration for that project. So I did that, and then someone asked how I do my painted papers. So then I needed to do a batch of painted papers for a demo. I will be putting a link to a playlist down below, along with any products that I mention in my videos or other videos. I will always put those down in the description. If I forget anything, you can always leave me a question in the comments, but I will be putting that down there. I have created a playlist just for recyclable projects. So that's where you'll find them. I'm gonna go ahead and put the whole playlist because there's videos for the little journals I just showed and for how I painted the papers. So I really started out with just painting a bunch of junk mail and then cutting it up for my collage. And then somebody asked if I was gonna put a paper pack together on my Etsy shop. So I stopped what I was doing, and before I had, cut up all my papers too small, I went ahead and scanned everything in, and so now I have my paper pack available. So what you'll see on the Etsy shop is this will be the first thumbnail photo. So just look for that. Because I only ended up with 9 unique designs, I was able to show 8 of those just in this first page. So you look for that, the bright colors, and you're to the right place. So I have 9 unique designs. They're all 8.5 by 11, 300 DPI JPEGs. So you'll get those downloaded, once you make your purchase. And what I ended up with are, I had 3 that I hadn't cut up yet. So I ended up with 3 8.5 by 11 full sheets just as they were painted. So I have this one, and this is the one that I used for my my different print setting demo. So I'll be showing you that one again. And then I have this one here, and then my third one. So, they're all a little bit different, but they all coordinate. So you have those 3. And then because I had already started cutting up my papers, I ended up doing 4 pages of collage. So I left them, rather than try to scale up my small pieces to 8.5 by 11. I would have had more that way, but it makes the scale much larger and maybe distorted. So I wanted to keep them as close to the original size as I could just for scale. So I've just kind of arranged them, you know, in a aesthetically pleasing way so that the colors are balanced and any kind of added little markings and things that I did. So that's one. And here's another one. This one, you can see I did upscale that a little bit, but I had used, you know, some letter things, so I wanted to not get it too out of its original size. And this is number 3, and then number 4 of the collaged ones. And then I went ahead and I did a couple of master boards. So I've got 2 of those. So I have one I did in the same layout using my different tear rulers and doing it this direction for, and I may do another one this way. I don't have pieces that long, but I can kind of brick lay them out, and I might do that. I actually had to do that on some of these pieces because I was running out of, I didn't even have full lengths this way. So I've done one in this way, and this is my actual original, and you can see compared to my printed version. Okay, and then I also did one that is kind of, these are all straight cuts, and they are kind of done in a brick lay around, and they're done just like a frame inside a frame inside a frame. And this is my original, and this is my print. So you can see that they print it out and scanned very true to color. So I was really happy with how that came out. Took a bit to get there. I wasn't thrilled about that, but I am happy I finally figured it out, because this was a really good example to find out if how good my printer was. So this is the paper pack. The other thing that I printed it on, I didn't do this pack on the vellum. I did it on the last one. So you can print these, and these bright colors, I don't know if I have my vellum one here handy. These bright colors look really nice. Oh, here it is. I'll show it to you in this one just so you can see. This is the neutral one printed on vellum. Bright colors look great printed on vellum too. So, you know, you can always print on that. And then the other thing I like to print on is fabric. So this one is actually, compared to my original again, is printed on fabric. Now, it's a little bit lighter, a little bit maybe not as vibrant, but it's not printed on bright white fabric. I did use the bright white plain paper setting, I believe, on this, if I recall. But the fabric is actually just off-white. So if you did it on bright white, it would probably come out a little bit brighter. But if you just saw that on its own, you know, I think that looks great. So if you've never printed on fabric before, it's really easy to do. I'll kind of go through that real quick in case you haven't. You take, at least this is what I use. There's other ways to do it, I'm sure, but this is how I do it. I will put a link to these labels. I really like these labels. They're just standard matte white and 8.5 by 11. And I like them because, not necessarily for this project, but for other projects, you sometimes want your backing piece to be one solid sheet. You know, there's certain things that I do that I don't want them to be pieces. So this one is a solid backing. So I use sticker paper, and I will show you here. So this one is still on the sticker paper. So you just take your backing off of your sticker paper. Okay. So it's losing its tack now because I've kind of been playing around with this one. But usually I'm usually able to get maybe 2 or 3 even uses out of this one sticky back paper, because it'll keep its tack. This one has been sitting around for a few days, and I've been kind of pulling it off and on, so it's not. But you can usually get at least 2 out of it. So you just take your sticky back paper. This is the part that would normally be printed on, and you just put it down on your fabric that's been ironed so you don't have wrinkles and things in it, and kind of just make sure you don't have any wrinkles in it. And then just use scissors and trim around the edge. And you want to make sure that you get any little threads like this that are going to pull off. Make sure you take those off. You don't want those to get stuck in your printer anywhere. So make sure you just have a nice clean edge. And then I in my last printer, I actually would put this in my bottom tray with all the paper, and it worked fine. The new printer that I have, the back feeder is really accessible. So I actually just put this in the back feeder, because usually I'm just doing one at a time and then just print that out, and it just comes out beautiful. So I will be doing a future video using this actual piece of fabric and doing a demonstration on making another little book cover. These were all done with actual collaging on them. So now that I have this kit available, if you don't want to, you know, take the time to paint the paper and do all the collage and all that, you'll be able to either using my digital kit, either in paper or in fabric, and make your own little journals. Now, the reason I like fabric sometimes for these is this spine is open. So working with paper was fine. You don't get any kind of cracking in the spine, which you'll get with paper. But doing it this way, it works fine. But if I had a solid spine, then fabric is a better choice, because it's going to go around and you won't get any cracking or anything like that. So for the next demo, that's what I'll be doing, something like that. And then I think I'll use, for the inside pages, I'll use some of these papers for my inside pages. On this one, I was using recycled book page that has been coated with gesso to make it writable, but it doesn't really work great with any sort of pen. I have done a test in another video of which pens work best for these. So, I mean, they'll work, but it's just kind of a little thing to throw in your purse anyway. But, so I'll be doing some, I think, with these as my inside papers. Now, the second part of this I wanted to go over was my printer experience, and just showing you, I think I'll start with my experience and then my test prints, because that didn't happen obviously until I got everything working fine. So what I ended up buying, I work with a MacBook Pro 2019 as my computer. And then I ended up buying the Epson EcoTank ET8500. And the reason I bought that one was it has the extra colors. It's instead of the cartridges, you have the tanks. I switched to that because of the price of the ink, and I was going through so much ink whenever I wanted to print something really colorful like this, that it was just, I probably spent in the last year more than buying my new printer in just ink from my cheap printer. And it worked fine. The quality of it, you know, of my old one was good. I was just really tired of cleaning nozzle heads, which takes ink, and then having to replace cartridges every time I did. So I did a lot of research, like I said, watched YouTube videos, and in most of those, the demos would be, you know, taking it out of the box, and here's a test print, and here's how it prints on black and white, and here's how it prints on photo paper. Well, if you're a crafter like I am, you're printing on lots of different kinds of paper. You sometimes want to print on cheap paper and have it be as good a quality. You want to print on fabric and vellum and sticker paper and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I was looking for. This one said that it could print on lots of different paper up to certain thicknesses, that kind of thing. And then it had the extra color tank of gray. So it's got photo black, black, the cyan, yellow, magenta, and gray. And so that is supposed to give you better quality color. So that's why I bought it. Took it out of the box, did the whole, you know, I did the basic download of the driver, and I didn't want to register my thing with Epson and go through all of that stuff. And I just wanted it, I guess I was anxious to get it working. And so I just did the most basic, easy thing. And it worked fine for printing just black and white. It did fine. And then I went to go and print color, and this is what I got. Now, where is my original again of this? Because this will be my comparison. So this is what I saw on my screen from scanning. They all scanned fine. And this is what it printed. And so you can only imagine how disappointed I was. And I had printed out, you know, multiples, trying different settings, anything just to get it to better. And I did, you know, just playing around with some things, I did get it a little bit better, but still not like this. So I didn't know what to do, went on YouTube looking for anybody that had any ideas, tried all the different things, never could figure it out, nothing was working. And so I finally joined a Facebook group for junk journal people. Let me back up. Before I found the Facebook group, one of the videos I finally started like looking for specifically junk journal digital kit, printers, people that were printing those things to see if they had any idea. And I did find one gal that recommended a paper. She was using an Ecotech printer, but not my model. And I don't know what computer she used, but she swore by this paper. So then I had to order the paper and wait for it to come. So I did that, and I want to talk a little bit about this paper. It is good paper. I bought it on Amazon, and I'm a Prime member, so it actually was 25% off list price, and I had free shipping. So I think that's probably the cheapest place to get it. So I will put links down below for that too. The couple things you need to know about this paper: there is a single-sided and a double-sided, and you have to buy them separately. So the labels look the same. This one doesn't say anything under it. It's premium presentation paper matte. This one says double-sided. So you need to make sure if you want to print double-sided that you have this one. I haven't used it yet, but I have it for when I need it. So far, I've just been using this one. And it ended up being about 19.5 cents per page for this one and 24 cents per page for this one. So you can compare what other papers you buy. I have not done that yet, just to see prices. But she swears by this paper that this is her only one she prints her digital kits out on. Now, for me, I might not always want this heavy of paper. It's considered heavyweight stock. This one is 44 pound or 165 grams and GMs. I don't know what that, I guess it's grams. And then this one is 48. Because it's double-sided. It has a coating, so it's got the coating on both sides, so it's a little heavier. Well, that's maybe heavier than sometimes I want to use. So I went ahead and got it because I was just trying to see if my printer would print the color that I expected it to. So even when I printed on this, I did not get my results. So what you want to do, and I think just to show you, this is the one I got compared to my original, even with this paper. So a couple things about this paper still. When you get this, there are instructions. It's not recyclable. So it has a chemical coating on it of some kind that makes it be wonderful to print on, like photo paper would be, but it's matte. It's not shiny like a photo paper. When you open the box, there are instructions in here, and you want to keep those, and I keep it in the cellophane because this one is not double-sided. There's a top and a bottom, and you can only print on the side that's printable. So this side here, where the instructions were, is the printable side. And I don't know that you'll see it on camera here, but it's a little whiter and warmer. And this side is a little cooler and grayer. If you don't maybe to your naked eye see it, but if you accidentally took it out of this or so that you didn't know what the top was anymore, you can put one against the other and you'll be able to see it. So I just always leave it in my box this way. And you want to store it flat and out of light and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's the paper. You just handle with care. And this is what I ended up when I did that. So I was still disappointed, didn't know what to do, was very frustrated by that point. And then I joined the Facebook group, Junk Journal Central, which would allow you to ask questions about anything. So I thought, I'm just going to put it out there. Maybe somebody has my same computer, my same printer, and can help me figure this out because I was doing something wrong. So I did have somebody that suggested, and it was great. Thank you so much. I don't remember who it was, but thank you. Was asking if I had downloaded the full driver. And I hadn't. I don't think I did. I think I had just done the basic quick one. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to try that. That's easy. So I downloaded the whole thing, which then I ended up having to sign up with Epson, have an account and all that kind of stuff. But really, that's the only way that even if you had to go to them for questions, that you can even get them answered. So I went ahead and did all that. And printed it out, and I still wasn't getting the quality exactly that I needed. So when I printed out when I signed up for Epson, I noticed it printed out this confirmation sort of thing, and I noticed it didn't print out, even it didn't print out good. I guess I should probably hide whatever's there. But you can see the color, the little bit of color part, if you can see that, is striped. It's not, and I didn't think that was supposed to be that way. It didn't look right to me. So I thought, oh, well, maybe something is not right here. And I hadn't printed very many, copies at that point. So I printed out a test, and it says that I've printed out 85 pages at that point, which I don't believe that I had printed that many, so maybe they had printed some, when they made the machine, they do some test prints. But anyway, you can see that I did have a huge problem here with the cyan and yellow. So I went ahead and did a nozzle clean on my brand new printer, but you want to see that instead. So, just because it's new and out of the box doesn't mean it is ready to go. So once I did that, I did go ahead and print on that good Epson paper, and I did get this. And this is, if I find my little original, this is my original. And so you can see it did scan pretty true to color, and then it did print on that Epson paper true to color. So I'm happy I have it figured out, but I did some other test prints on other paper just so I can, kind of show you comparisons, because you're going to have a different printer and you're going to have maybe different paper that you like and use. So I want you to be able to see the differences across at least the papers that I have. So this is the Epson, and when you do download the full driver, just a couple of little tips if you're brand new to even doing this kind of printing. One thing that I'm working again, like I said, with a MacBook Pro, and one thing on my printer or on my computer, when you click on a picture to open it up to print it or change the size or adjust the color or whatever you want to do, and in preview, you'll look down and you'll see that maybe your picture, even though I have these sized 8.5 by 11, it may not be filling your full screen. Mine sometimes is like 98% or something, because I don't know why it's scaling it to this border that it's going to leave. So what I do is I always click fill entire page. Now, it wasn't a huge difference, but you want to get as much on your page, out of your page, as you can. So I always make sure that it's on fill entire page. Okay, that's one thing that is just, at least with mine. The other thing is when you've downloaded the entire driver, you have more print setting options. So when you go down into, your print settings, on mine, it'll show a little box that says preview. If you click on that, more things come down: layout, paper handling, print settings, all that kind of stuff. Color management is in there, and just click on that and make sure that it's going to your printer color management. So there's an option for Epson. Mine automatically went there because it found my printer and all of that. So you just want to make sure that it's on high quality if you're printing on good paper, that sort of thing. And lots of color. I don't worry about that so much if I'm doing something that's not this vibrant, or something that if I'm printing it like I'm going to show you with the neutral ones, it doesn't matter as much. So you just want to check all those settings that you have it set to the right kind of paper, the right setting for your paper. So on this one, because it is premium presentation paper, you want to make sure you have it photo on premium presentation paper matte, okay, for this one. Then I did a test because I like using Hammermill paper. I did in Hammermill, it's 32 pound paper. It's 32 pound, and I think it's called premium copy paper. So when I first did it, I printed it with my premium paper setting, photo on premium paper matte again, and you can see how much duller it is compared to the Epson paper. And that wasn't very good, but I mean, I thought, okay, well, that's what it's going to be on Hammermill. So I had tried it again. One of these I did, this one was on this one was on the premium presentation paper. And then it didn't turn out very good. So I thought, well, maybe because it's just, you know, premium copy paper, I need to just do on presentation matte instead of the premium. So I did it again, and it still came out about the same, still not great. So then I did it again on just regular, well, I'll back up. I had printed it on 28 pound. This is just cheap copy paper from Walmart. Okay, and it had come out better than my Hammer Mill, which is better paper. So I thought, oh, that's weird. That must be just the paper settings. So I printed out on my Hammer Mill premium copy paper, 32 pound. I printed it with my plain bright white paper setting, the same one that I used on this, and it came out the same. I mean, you can hardly tell a difference between these two. It's more just the weight of the paper. This one is more vibrant. It has that extra gray. So anyway, that you can tell for bright things. So I guess my point is my printer does work. I can print on cheap paper depending on what I'm using this for and get almost as good a quality as this expensive paper. So this is heavier. If I was going to do like a cover of something, you know, then this might be good. But if I'm just going to be cutting it up, or if I'm going to be using it for collage, tearing it up like I'm doing for those other, I would just use this cheap paper. On a lot of my little, you know, collage books, I end up going over my original as if it's a mixed media underlayer and doing other things on top of it. So then I really don't need it to be on expensive paper. So that's just an experiment that I did to show you of my bright ones. And then I also did an experiment on the neutral ones once I had it going. When I originally did this video, I'll kind of put this to the side. When I did this video, I showed all of my original papers. I didn't even print all of these out. At that point, my printer still wasn't working. I didn't even print all of these out because there's, you know, 42 unique designs onto that good paper. I just didn't want to do that. So I'll do them as I need them. But I did want to do one so that you could see, again, the difference in how the neutrals look. So this is my original dyed paper, okay, on the original paper. And then I did my test prints. So this one is the Epson paper. This is from my scan. So I scanned this, and you know, I'm half tempted to go back and scan it again. I don't think it should matter. But when I scanned this, it on my screen, on my computer screen, it kind of looks somewhere in between these two. Maybe not as light as this, but not as dark as this. So this is just me printing, not changing any color settings. I was just using my premium presentation paper matte settings, the same ones I used on the color one, and I got this. And then I did it on the Hammer Mill. That's this one, the Hammer Mill. And maybe I'll set that aside for a second just to show you the difference of these. So you can see this one is a little bit warmer, a little more vibrant in the black and kind of things, a little more crisp. And then this one is on the 28 pound cheap copy paper. So you can see they're a little darker and warmer the further, you know, the better paper you go. Now for this kind of thing, and why I wanted to do this one is if you had never seen this original, which you're not going to, if you buy this pack, you're gonna see something on the screen that looks more like this. You would say that's a beautiful paper on any of these. You know, on any of these are good. But I decided, because I was curious, you know, to see if I could get this color, because that's what my original is, I played around with my color settings. So if you go into, at least this is how it works on a Mac, you click on your picture, it brings it up in preview, you go up to your tools and you click on that, and you have two options. You have an option of adjust color and adjust size. Adjust color, and then you'll have options of, you know, you can either do auto levels, which it kind of just does it for you, just kind of improves it, the computer thinks it'll look better. You can do that. You can manually adjust saturation, exposure, warmth, all that kind of stuff, and really change the colors of these to totally different colors. And that's really fun to do. I've done it on some other things, especially with backgrounds like this. you end up with a lot more options just by playing with color, depending on what you're creating with it. So the one thing about that is if you pull up your original and you start playing with the color and then you get out of it, it will save it with the changes that you made, and you will have lost your original forever. So my recommendation is to make a duplicate copy and give it a new name, then play with your color. That way you'll still have your original, okay? So I do that a lot, like I said, with, you know, background things like this. So I went ahead and just for fun, I did it on this one just to see if I could warm it up a little bit. And it's not a huge difference. I didn't change it a lot. That would have been the comparison, these two. So I just went into when you're going to the color, adjust color, on the very bottom of mine there is just a sepia. So you don't even have to mess with all the other stuff. If you want to turn something that is a color into a sepia photo, like say you have a new photo and you want it to look like an old photo, you just take that color photo and move the sepia just down to wherever you like the color, and it's going to give you that warm beigey antiqued color. So I didn't move this all the way to, you know, as much as you could. I probably did it about halfway just to play around. So that's just showing you can kind of adjust the color. This one, these two are the same. This one is on the Epson paper with the premium settings and with a little bit of sepia. And then this is just on, I think I did this one on the hammer mill paper. So, you know, you can play around with color, and that's just another thing I wanted to show with your paper settings. I was just doing all these tests, you know, for my printer. So that is it. I think one thing I do want to give you a little sneak peek. If you did watch that, I want to show this one last. If you did watch that last video I did with this whole paper pack, I showed all the originals of this because it was something brand new that I had just done, and I had so much fun doing it. But it was coffee dyeing paper, and it was a video that I got from Mix It Up Marcy. So in that previous video, there's a link to all that. I ended up playing around. I had a little bit of my mixed up colors and stuff left, and I didn't want to waste them. So I did a few more papers with another experiment, and I just wanted to tease and show you. I will probably end up doing a video just for a demo of this because I want to do some more little practice things and experiments with it. But this is, I just wanted to show you these. This is just with the coffee and the salt, double-sided. And I did, if you watched that previous video, I mentioned I was going to do another test and maybe not put so many papers. I did like all 21 papers in the tray in the other one. I was going to do maybe like 5 and then pull them out to dry and do another 5, that kind of thing. So I did that on this, and it did work out better. I just love, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera. I think if I get it tilted just right, maybe. I can't see with all this light in my eyes, but the texture, there you go. Oh, there you go. The texture on this is amazing. I just love how these turned out, and I don't know if you'll get the sparkle at all, but I'll kind of tell you what it looks like. So I think what I did that gave me this much texture was a lot of salt. I did a lot more salt, and it might have been mixing with the acidity of the lime juice too. But the texture, these have more texture on them than my last batch. And I think it was more salt. So I'll just kind of show you real quick some of these. And then the other thing that I did is I added I was using the Liquitex acrylic inks. I had some metallics, so I used this kind of aged coppery color ink and just tried some of that. And the fun thing about that, and that's why I want to do some more, is I was using this little foam brush to kind of dab it on and whatnot. And then I would dip it back in my coffee, and I was contaminating my liquids with this ink, you know, from the ink, the metallics. And I really liked that because what it did was, you know how if you're on the beach and it's, you know, it's a natural, organic, neutral color thing, but you can kind of see a sparkle in it, metallics in it. It kind of looks like that. It's very subtle, but you do see it in this one. Oh my goodness. Look at the texture on this one. I wish you could feel these. It just, I mean, this is that cheap 28 pound copy paper, but you can even hear it's just like really nice, heavy, thick paper at this point. This was with the saffron threads. I used the same ones that I had recycled. And then again with the black ink, but there's just wherever that little metallic kind of settled in, it settled in there. And this one's really pretty too. These are just, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but these are going to make really, you know, nice maybe covers for something, or I don't know. I'll have to do a project and do a video. This one has a ton of texture and that metallic too on it. And these lines that you see, these little creases, it kind of looks like, you know how sandstone has the little darker lined, it kind of has that look. And the reason it has that look, partly it really has a sandstone look, this one does, just because of the texture. You have the texture, the neutral color, and then these creases, which are, I was drying my papers. I just had opened up a black garbage bag and laid it on the ground, and it was, you know, kind of wrinkly and folded and all that. And wherever liquid settled in those creases made these creases. So, I mean, it's just, you know, you have no control over that except for the, you know, the wrinkles are there. And then this one, I think, was the first one that I had done. And I just had dropped some of that. That's why it's mostly white, because it didn't have a lot of coffee things going on to it yet. But I love this side of it. So this side, I mean, look at that. It just looks like quartz or something, you know, quarried stone. All these kind of ended up to me looking like if you go to a stone yard, pick out your granite counters, and you see these big slabs of just beautiful stone, natural stone. That's what these look like to me in real life. This one, the way that I did it is, I don't even remember what all I put on it. It wasn't too much as far as the color. But when I put it out to dry, I laid it on a, you know, on a piece of plastic again. But then I took a piece of saran wrap bigger than my piece of paper, and I just laid the whole thing over it and then just kind of mooshed it so that my wrinkles kind of would be evenly dispersed over the whole paper. And I don't think you're going to be able to see this if I get it up close enough and focused, if you'll see any sparkle in that. But in all those lines, all the metallics settled into where those creases were. So this, I love this piece of paper. And I'm going to try to duplicate it again. But when I'm looking at it, I see a little bit of sparkle over the whole thing, just very, very, very little, but more sparkle settled into all those little creases. So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a demo of doing these, because they really came out looking like stone things, and see if I can duplicate that again for you, and then you can do your own. And I'll probably end up then doing another paper pack with some, you know, natural stone looking papers. So that's my share for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.